I bounced back from psychosis, and you can too. Who is this video for? This video for somebody who doesn't really know what psychosis is. Maybe they've only heard it as a trendy insult. We'll get to that. This video is really for somebody who's been through psychosis and they're feeling lost. Because that's how I felt. Now, I'm not going to take you through everything that happened in my psychosis, but just know that when I say I went through psychosis, I don't mean I just think I went through it and all that stuff. No, I was diagnosed from mental health professionals with psychosis. I stayed in a behavioral health center. I got the treatment I needed, and I continue to get the treatment I needed after my psychotic episode. So what I would want somebody who doesn't know about psychosis, doesn't know anyone who's been through psychosis, doesn't really know what it's like. For me, one, it was the scariest experience I've ever been through. When you think people are after you, when you think you're gonna die, it's not just oh my God, it's literally you believe you are gonna die, people are after you, and it's the scariest thing I've never been through anything scarier than psychosis. Because you genuinely believe the thoughts that you're having. It's not cute, it's not fun, it's not anything to play around with, it's not anything to throw at people. It's generally an extremely scary experience. Number two, it felt like I was floating in my own body. And I can't describe it any other way in that you genuinely feel extremely ungrounding. Now, prior to psychosis, I was in mania. And I say that because another thing about mania is there's no checks and balances in your thinking. If you think something, it's real. Well, that kind of bleeds into why I went into psychosis. If you think something is real, it's not that part of your brain that says, oh, let me fact check this, let me get some evidence. No, if you believe it, it's real, which can lead you into very scary line of thinking. Now, let me tell you about the come down from psychosis. I had never felt so much shame in my life. I had never felt so much shame. I felt like I was a burden. I felt stupid. I felt so useless. I genuinely because when you are genuinely disconnected from reality, especially the way a lot of mental health conversation goes, it can feel like it was your fault. It can feel like going into psychosis was your fault that you could have prevented. And I'm here to tell you, if you've been through psychosis, it was not your fault. Just like it's not somebody's fault that they break a leg. It's not somebody's fault that they get a physiological illness. It's really not your fault. What happened was out of your control. And that's very important to know, because when you're dealing with the shame of psychosis, it can very well slip into suicidal ideation territory. Because you can feel and I just felt like I was such a burden. And going into the treatment aspect and how I bounced back, it was because of the people around me letting me know that this was not your fault and you're going to be stronger because of this. And that's why I'm telling you, let me be the testament. Let me be the testament that if you go through psychosis, you can make it through. So I was dealing with a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of feelings of being a burden, a lot of feelings of why am I like what is the value in my life if I've gone through this experience? And that's why I'm going to say now psychosis is not a trendy insult. You see a lot of people using psychosis as this insult to throw at people, as in, like, you're unwell, you're going through psychosis. I don't agree with you, you're going through psychosis. That's a big one. If you don't agree with somebody, they're going through psychosis. And this use of psychosis as an insult really only perpetuates the shame that people feel around psychosis. And it gets into mental health is not taken seriously. Because if you really spoke with somebody who's been through psychosis, if you've seen that experience, you would not be using it as an insult. Point blank, period. Because you would understand, and especially all this work on, disability acceptance and disability activism has a long way to go when it comes to a mental health disability, because it is extremely disabling to go through psychosis because you're not connected to this reality. And so the one thing I would say, if you're watching this video and you have not been through psychosis, it is not something to throw at somebody. It is one of the most disabling mental health events somebody can go through. And the ways that we can support people in the society who have been through psychosis is not to use it as a trendy insult. It's to make safe space for them to know that they are valued in this world and that their life matters, no matter what they've been through. And so now let's go into the bounce back. One, I gotta give up to the mental health professionals. If it wasn't for me having a place to stay at a behavioral health center, I really don't know what would happen because it was a very out of control time for me. If it wasn't for my therapist that I've been seeing for, I think it's almost 2 years, well, a year and a half going on 2 years, who was able to see me twice a week. Yeah, twice a week in sessions. If it wasn't for my psychiatrist who listened to me, who let me cry in her office, who really helped me through the medication navigation process, I would feel very lost. But most importantly, my parents were my greatest support system. Show me somebody with good mental health and I'll show you somebody who has a support system. Because my parents, they flew out, because I was in a different state at the time. They flew out to make sure that they were there for me. They made sure that I could afford going to therapy and I could afford my psychiatry services. They were a bedrock for my emotional well-being. There was a point in time that I was sleeping, well, we were all sleeping on the couch, but I did not want to sleep by myself. So they slept with me to make sure that I wasn't alone at night. And they really spoke, I don't want to cry, but they spoke positive affirmations over me when I felt nothing but negativity. And that's what everybody who's been through psychosis deserves. Somebody to tell you, I remember my mom, I was crying and my mom telling me, like, because I was taking a break from school and I need to go back. Like, when you go back to school, like, we will bring you back victorious. And that everything was going to be okay. And my parents were my biggest emotional support system at the time. And I would say, if you've been through it, don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I need you to check in on me. I need you to check in on me. I need daily conversations. Because you shouldn't feel lonely. You shouldn't feel alone. And it's because of the familial support and the professional support that I had that I was able to bounce back. And I was able to make peace with what I had been through, make peace with my psychosis, and know that I later got the diagnosis of bipolar 1. Um, and know that I'm always going to be living with this. And I'm always going to be on medication. And my life is different now. But it was like my psychosis made every fear I had kind of come to life. Like I was so afraid of looking like an idiot. I was so afraid of people thinking I was crazy. I was so afraid of all these things, and all those things happened. People thought I was crazy. I lost a dear friendship to me because that person became scared of me. And that was really hard to sit with. Especially if you grow up as like some kind of people pleaser or some kind of all that stuff, even though I've kind of let that go a little bit, especially more so now in my life. But like losing friendships, like all that stuff was things that I deeply feared, and it all happened. And I remember sitting in my therapist's office and really saying like, wow, like I have nothing to be scared of anymore, because everything I was scared of happened. Everything I was scared of happened, and I'm still here to tell the tale. And I have to remind myself of that when I get scared and when I get nervous, just about life in general. And even the thought of like going through that experience again, that like everything that you fear can happen, and you can make it through. And you can make it through. I never write scripts or anything, or I just speak off the dome. So I hope this kind of makes sense. I hope that if you do not know anybody who's been through psychosis, you can have a little more empathy for what we've been through. If you have gone through psychosis and you're really struggling, just know that I'm sending all my love. Like all the emotions you're feeling, I felt them. And like if you have also bounced back from psychosis, please share whatever part of your story you want, or just some positive affirmations for others in the comment section. And I really hope this video can just be a source of light for others in a dark place. Yeah. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye. I love you.